Welcome to the Global War Watch Network.
Hey, before we jump in, if you enjoy this kind of breakdown, do us a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us create more explainers just like this one.
So get this, Russia is working on a fighter program that sounds like it was pulled straight from a sci-fi movie. We're talking about a jet that could, in theory, fly faster than the missiles fired at it and climb to the very edge of space. But is this for real, or is it just a fantasy? Well, let's find out.
Okay, so to really get the MiG-41, you have to look back at its roots. The whole story really starts during the Cold War with its legendary predecessor.
So meet the MiG-41. NATO called it the Foxhound. And this thing, it was an absolute beast. Its job was brutally simple. Fly higher and faster than pretty much anything else to guard Russia's enormous borders against sneaky bombers and spy planes. Hitting speeds like Mach 2.8, it wasn't a dogfighter, it was a pure, high-altitude sprinter.
But, even legends have a shelf life. The MiG-31 fleet is getting old, and today's battlefield is a whole different game. The threats aren't just bombers anymore. Now we're talking about hypersonic missiles and stealth fighters that are built to be invisible. Plus, Russia has a huge strategic interest in the Arctic, and of course, they have to keep up with what the US and China are developing. So, a replacement for the Foxhound isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a must-have.
And this is where the MiG-41 flies into the picture. And it's not being pitched as just an upgrade, it's being sold as a complete game changer. The claims about this plane are frankly mind-blowing. All right, let's start with speed. The goal is reportedly Mach 5. Just to put that into perspective for you, that's more than a mile every single second. At that speed, it could literally outrun many of the missiles designed to take it down.
And then you have the altitude. The plan is for the MiG-41 to operate in near space, way up above 100,000 feet. We're not just talking about flying high, we're talking about the edge of the atmosphere itself, a place where normal planes just can't function.
But this thing is meant to be more than just a speed demon. The vision for it is a true multi-role weapon. Its number one job, intercepting hypersonic weapons, something no current fighter can do. It's also supposed to hunt stealth aircraft, and from that incredible altitude, maybe even take out satellites. And listen, this isn't just internet chatter. The head of the MiG Corporation himself, a guy named Ilya Tarasenko, has talked about these insane goals. He mentioned speeds of Mach 4 to 4.3 and even brought up the possibility of an anti-missile laser. This is the blueprint for a true sixth-generation fighter.
Okay, but a vision is one thing. Actually building it, that's another story entirely. The road from a concept to a real flying MiG-41 is absolutely packed with massive challenges.
So here's the fundamental clash, right? On one side, you've got this dream of a Mach 5 near-space jet. On the other, you've got three huge roadblocks. First, is the technology even possible? Second, can your factories actually build it? And third, can your economy even afford it?
Let's talk tech. Flying at Mach 5 creates an insane amount of heat from air friction. We're talking hot enough to literally melt the metals used in today's jets. You'd need brand new materials, revolutionary alloys, and cooling systems that honestly don't really exist in a practical form yet. It's one of the toughest problems in all of aerospace engineering.
But let's say they solve it. Let's say the scientists and engineers pull off a miracle. A superjet isn't very useful if you can only build, two of them. So the next big question is, can Russia's industry actually produce this thing at scale?
And for a clue, we just have to look at Russia's fifth-gen fighter, the Su-57. It's a very capable plane on paper, but its production has been notoriously slow, bogged down by all sorts of problems. So if Russia is struggling to build lots of Su-57s, the idea of mass-producing the far, far more complex MiG-41 seems like a pretty tall order. And that industrial problem is tied directly to what might be the biggest hurdle of all, money, or more specifically, the harsh economic realities of a country that's actively at war. For 2025, Russia's planned military spending is a jaw-dropping 15.5 trillion rubles. Now that's a huge number, but it's not a blank check. It has to pay for an entire military that's fighting a major war right now. And here's what that looks like. That spending is 7.2% of the country's entire economic output and a massive 37% of the total federal budget. When more than a third of every dollar the government spends is going to the military, the fight for funding inside that budget is going to be intense.
And as many analysts point out, an economy that's already stretched thin by sanctions and the enormous costs of the war in Ukraine is going to have a really hard time bankrolling a moonshot project like the MiG-41. Tough choices have to be made, and a futuristic jet might not make the cut.
So when you put it all together, what do you get? Is the MiG-41 actually Russia's future, or is it more of a flight of fancy? Well, if we look at the official timeline, this project has been simmering for over a decade. It's still years away from even a tentative service date, and pretty much every expert agrees that 2028 or 2030 timeline is, optimistic, to say the least. It's almost certain to be delayed. And that brings us to a really interesting possibility. Maybe the MiG-41's most important job right now isn't to actually fly, but to serve as a psychological weapon. It's strategic messaging. The very idea of a Mach 5 interceptor that can touch space is deeply intimidating. It forces your adversaries to spend money and time preparing for it, whether it ever becomes a reality or not.
So that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is the MiG-41 a real glimpse into the future of warfare, a weapon that will one day patrol the edge of our atmosphere? Or is it more of a ghost plane, a powerful idea designed to haunt the global arms race, but one that may never actually cast a real shadow on the ground? Thank you for joining us for this explainer here at the Global War Watch Network.
If you got some value out of this breakdown, we'd really appreciate it if you'd hit those like and share buttons. And of course, make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives into global security. But now, we want to hear what you think. Is the MiG-41 a credible threat, or just a high-tech paper tiger? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below and come join the conversation on our social media channels. You'll find the links in the description.